Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here, coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man Miles Morales. This title was sent to me by PlayStation Portugal so that I could give it a look and tell you guys my opinions on it. Now, the version of the game that I'm playing is the PlayStation 4, and all of the footage that you are watching in this video was captured on a PlayStation 4 Pro. Now, this is not one of my traditional reviews because I didn't have enough time to actually finish the game on account of the fact that I received my code like, I don't know, 3 days before embargo date. And rather than just like burn through the whole game and not really enjoy the experience, I figured I'll just do a gameplay impressions type video to give everyone an idea of what this game is all about. And then eventually when I finish the game, if I feel the need to go back and talk a little bit more about it, then I will do a follow-up video. So Spider-Man Miles Morales, as the title itself indicates, has you playing as Miles Morales, which if you've played the previous Spider-Man game by Insomniac Games, and you already know about this character's background, his relationship with Peter Parker, how he got his powers, and all of that stuff. But naturally, this is also a character that comes from the relevant comic books as well as the Into the Spider-Verse movie. So if you've seen that particular source material, then you'll also know more about the character. But I also believe that this interpretation of Miles Morales is kind of like unique to the Insomniac Games Spider-Verse, if you will, which means that it's probably going to be different from the source material that it draws inspiration from. Now, I wouldn't really know because I don't really read a lot of comic books. I don't really tend to watch that many movies. I just kind of like play video games. So what I know about Miles Morales is what I've played in this game and what I've seen of him in the previous Spider-Man game. So having said that, what are my thoughts on Spider-Man Miles Morales? It's pretty damn fun. I mean, if you've played the previous Spider-Man and you really enjoyed it, this is going to be pretty much a no-brainer. The main difference is you're going to be playing as Miles Morales, and he does have different powers from the Peter Parker Spider-Man, including his Venom powers, which are incredibly satisfying. His Venom punch, where he just like straight up charges with bioelectric energy in his fists and punches dudes like right in the face, and it feels extremely impactful. That's a wonderful job that they've done with the animations, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But he also has access to other powers, such as the ability to become completely invisible, as well as his own set of Spidey gadgets that you unlock as you play through the game, and special suit upgrades that kind of give him more of an identity and differentiate him from the Peter Parker Spider-Man. But anyways, let's get started by talking about the visuals. And when it comes to the visuals of Miles Morales, these are probably some of the best that I have seen on PlayStation 4. And do remember that this is the PlayStation 4 version of the game that you are watching. And personally, I'm very curious to see what the game looks like on PlayStation 5. If I ever get one this year, that is. But anyway, beyond just the visuals themselves, which are gorgeous, regardless if you're playing in 4K, 1080p, whatever, the game just looks beautiful. The animations are what actually calls to my attention. As I've told you guys, I'm always more about animations than necessarily visual fidelity, and the animations are particularly noticeable whenever you just start web slinging around as Miles, because he has his own way of web swinging, which does feel different from the Peter Parker Spider-Man, which even though Peter Parker also has these very natural transitions in the previous game where he just kind of like flows from swing to swing, and if he falls down on his back and he naturally turns and whatnot, Miles feels more like daredevilish, if I can say that. It feels even more improv. It's just very much exaggerated web slinging, if you will, and it just kind of suits the character more, because I feel like his character is supposed to be younger than Peter Parker and maybe a little bit more wanting to prove himself than Peter Parker. At least that's kind of like the vibe that I get from the game, and I feel that that is very well represented within the animations. But even just besides the web slinging of it, the combo finishers are also incredibly stylish. And to me personally, I'm the kind of guy that likes those slow-mo finishers on combos, and it never gets old to me, and they give you a wide breadth of different animations for these finishers. Like I've already mentioned previously, one of my favorite animations is the friggin' Venom punch, which it just feels very satisfying and impactful every time that you land it, even though later down the line you get other Venom powers that are also very interesting. You get some crazy Venom powers that launch enemies up into the air and allow you to just go out and do some crazy air combos. There's just the animations all around. The game just feels really, really good. And the visuals, like I said, also very good. The performance, we're looking at 30 FPS on the PS4. Again, I am playing on a PS4 Pro. I didn't really touch the settings all that much, but I don't think that there's like a performance mode or anything like that from what I could tell. And the performance was pretty much solid all around, with the exception of a couple of these starter cutscenes. But I already reported this to Sony, and I believe that this is probably going to be something that gets addressed in the day one patch, because I am still playing kind of like an earlier version of the game. But yeah, there were some kind of like hiccups here and there. It wasn't enough for me to be like, oh man, I can't stand this anymore, but it was noticeable. But like I said, I believe that this is something that will be easily fixed with a day one patch, so we'll see if that is the case or not, because like I said, I'm probably going to be doing a follow-up video to this when I eventually get all the way through the story and all of that stuff. But anyway, when it comes to sound, there's not really that much to point out. The sound is great. The soundtrack is really cool, even though I'm not going to be able to show you a whole lot of it, because I believe that a significant chunk of the soundtrack is going to be licensed tracks. I'm not 100% sure, but it definitely felt like it. So that's probably why you're not going to be listening to the actual in-game soundtrack, because again, I don't want to get copyrighted or anything like that. But it does feel very adequate to the character itself, and it is dynamic as you are fighting or as you are web slinging. The tracks kind of like change, and they give you like a nice flow to the gameplay. When it comes to voice acting, it's also very good, which is kind of like what we've come to expect from Sony exclusives, at least from pretty much most of the exclusives that I've played. I've never really had any reason to complain on the voice acting, so it feels very good. The delivery of the actors feels adequate to the situations presented before them. The lip syncing is good. The animations during the cutscenes themselves are also good, and there's nothing really that took me out of the experience so that I felt like, oh, that dialogue was kind of wonky. Like, no, everything has been pretty friggin' solid on that front. Now, when it comes to the story so far, I have been enjoying it, but I do feel that the overarching plot is maybe a little bit too traditional and somewhat predictable. Like, here's Miles Morales learning how to control his powers under the tutelage of Peter Parker, and then there's an evil technologically advanced corporation pushing a new technology that could potentially end the world. This almost feels like it's superhero plot 101. Like, we've seen a lot of movies with this particular plot. We've seen a lot of video games with this particular plot. But where I find the most joy in the story and in the narrative that is being told in this game is in the characters themselves. And that is what I'm actually enjoying. The characters, like I said, are very well voice acted, and they are interesting characters. The relationships between themselves and between Miles, whether they are villains or whether they are, allies that you meet along the way, they do provide you with interesting moments in the storytelling so far. However, it is important to mention that I haven't finished the story. Like I told you guys at the start of this video, I received my code a little bit too close to the embargo date. So if I feel the need to eventually, put up a follow-up video talking about this, I might. But so far it's like, look, it's decent because the characters do a good job of carrying the plot forward. But the overarching plot feels very traditional, and I think it's going to be somewhat predictable. But again, I could be wrong because I haven't finished the story at this point. Those are just my thoughts up until now. And finally, let's get into the gameplay. Now, when it comes to the structure of the game itself, it is fairly similar to the previous Spider-Man game. You have your main story missions that you can take at your own pace, and then there is a wide variety of open world activities you can engage in between those main story missions. You can literally lose yourself in the world, just like looking for time capsules, equipment caches, different activities, criminal activities that are actually dynamic and can happen at any point. As a matter of fact, the game gives you like this Spider-Man app where people can ask for Spider-Man's help, and basically whenever you are just looking to do some random stuff in the game, you can just go to the app and be like, oh, there's a robbery happening over here, or there's this person who doesn't know where they put their car or something like that, and you can go do friendly neighborhood Spider-Man things and help everybody out. Now, some of these activities will actually unlock like a currency, which is these tokens that you can get to upgrade either your suit or your Spidey gadgets or some other stuff, whereas other activities will also unlock special combat techniques or special traversal techniques or even special stealth techniques based on what you do. And everything that you do also gains you experience, and as you basically level up, you essentially get skill points to put into a skill tree that determines how powerful you can be at any given point. I believe that very much like most other open world games, by the time you are done with the game, you should have unlocked pretty much the entirety of your skill tree or close to, depending on how many side activities you did. So it's not like you're actually committing to a build, you're just committing to which skills you want to get to first, and then eventually you'll probably just end up getting everything. At least that's what it feels like at this point. One of the things that I noticed does not appear to be in the game from what I've played so far, I think I have like, I don't know, 10 hours into it or something like that, is the laboratory research sections, which you used to have in the previous Spider-Man game, where Peter Parker would go into a laboratory and you would like solve a couple of logic puzzles and stuff like that. And then eventually you would get a specific upgrade for your suit or an upgrade to a new skill or something like that. Those don't appear to be in the game. And personally, I'm very thankful for it, because I felt like those sections in the previous Spider-Man game was almost like you were web slinging at the speed of light, and it's like, oh, laboratory section, slap. It's almost like you slap right into a wall and like, okay, stop having fun for about 5 minutes and go solve these puzzles, right? Personally, I was not a huge fan of them. It's not like they completely broke the experience for me, but they did kind of like break the pacing of the game. I was always like, whenever the laboratory sections came on, I was like, okay, here we go again. just let me get back into the spider suit and start web slinging again. And I feel like, at least up until what I've played so far of Miles Morales, it is much more respectful of your time with that kind of stuff, and it's more like, oh no, just keep on web slinging, keep having fun. There's a couple of scenes where naturally you're not in your spider costume and you're actually interacting with characters as Miles Morales, but so far they haven't been as long and as frequent as the previous Spider-Man game, which I believe is probably adequate, because I was looking up what is the duration that people are talking about for this game, and they say that this game is going to last you about 20 hours to go through the main campaign. I believe, however, that there's plenty more if you want to actually engage in the side activities and do open world things, but naturally these open world activities are only going to carry the game so far, because these are activities that are going to be enjoyable the first couple of times that you do them, but after that, the repetition is going to set in real fast, and you're going to be like, well, maybe let's just do some more of the main story. But anyway, let's talk about the combat itself, which in my opinion is extremely satisfying. I greatly enjoyed the combo-based combat of the previous Spider-Man game, and in this one, it feels like there's an additional element there with the Venom powers. They feel really, really good, particularly the ones where you launch enemies into the air, the Venom punch, the Venom finishers that you can do, which are actually just like regular combo finishers, but he introduces like Venom powers into them. And these Venom powers, I keep saying Venom, it's bioelectric energy. It's not actually poison or anything like that. But yeah, they feel very satisfying to pull off. I feel like Miles Morales kind of like brings his own flavor of Spidey combat, which is much more exaggerated in terms of animations and whatnot, and just the camera angles that they do during some of these animations are really crazy, but it feels very satisfying to just go up to a group of thugs and beat the crap out of them with the different abilities that you have available to you. And it's not even just engaging in straight up combat as well. There's also the stealth type combat that you can do, just like we had in the previous game. You can do the perch takedowns, hang people up in your webs and stuff. And even in those, the animations that they did for Miles Morales are really, really good. Like, again, I know that I just keep talking about the animations, but they're just such an integral part of this game. Like, I feel a lot of the game's spirit would not pass through if it wasn't for the outstanding job that they did with the animations. Like, the identity of the character itself is present in these animations. And with the additional powers that Miles Morales has, I felt that the pacing of the combat is faster because you can take more chances even when you are doing stealth, because there's a camouflage thing, which is kind of like a get out of jail free card. Oh, I got detected. I'm instantly invisible, and then I instantly zip away, and enemies lose track of you, and you can just go back to doing stealth takedowns and stuff, which, again, that's why it feels faster, because you can afford to take more chances, as opposed to, I felt like, I don't remember if Peter Parker had anything that could like counter when you were detected, if you just had to like run away, or if it would just like cancel certain missions and stuff like that. But that was always one thing that I do remember when I was doing stealth. It's like, okay, gotta be careful, gotta really plan out every move. And with Miles, it's just like, I'm gonna take some chances. And if stuff goes south, then I'm just gonna camouflage, reset, and head back in. So again, it kind of also, I feel, speaks to the identity of the character itself, who's still coming on to his own with his powers and still kind of like trying to prove himself and being maybe a little bit more brazen than the traditional Spider-Man would be. Overall, what I've played of Miles Morales so far has been really fun. If you were to ask me which one of these two Spider-Mans do you prefer, the Peter Parker Spider-Man or the Miles Morales Spider-Man, I'd have to go with Miles Morales, because I just enjoy the combat more, and I feel like the pacing of the combat is a little bit faster. And just like, I have a bunch of notes that I have sitting in front of me for this particular video, and at the end of them all, I just have a note that says Venom Punch, like, because the Venom Punch is just so incredibly satisfying. Like, I really just enjoy, you know, him pulling back and just like smack this guy right in the mouth, because it feels very powerful and impactful. And you guys know me, I just really dig crazy cool animations, and this game just like tickles all the right parts in my brain when it comes to the animations that it does for the character and the identity that they provide to the character itself. If I had one thing to point out so far, is that I still feel like the overarching plot feels extremely traditional, and I would like them to take more chances with the overarching plot. But like I said, the characters that I've interacted with so far do a good job of carrying the narrative to the point that I really enjoy those characters. So even if the overarching plot hasn't really grabbed me as much, the characters themselves kind of have. And at this point, like I said, I haven't finished the story yet, so I might come back to it and be like, hey, it was actually pretty friggin' amazing. There was this incredible plot twist at the end, but I kind of doubt that that's going to happen. Either way, like I said, if you enjoyed the previous one, this is pretty much a no-brainer. If you enjoy open world games and you enjoy Spider-Man, this is also pretty much a no-brainer. It's a fantastic game. In case you guys are wondering, do I need to play the previous Spider-Man in order to understand what's happening in Miles Morales? You do not. They give you an introduction at the very start of the game that kind of tell you some of the important events that took place in the previous Spider-Man game. So you don't need to play the previous one, but you will get additional context. Although it was weird, they changed Peter Parker's face. Like, it was unrecognizable when compared to the Spider-Man from the first game. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning was behind that, but whatever. Anyway, that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit it up with a like. If you did not enjoy the video, hit it up with a dislike, because feedback is important. If you usually enjoy my content, subscribe, bell notification icon, all of that stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.